Acclaimed bassist and festival producer Mike Griot has introduced a special presentation of the work of one of the most iconic composers in music history, the legendary Burt Bacharach. The Soul of Burt Bacharach will have two shows on Saturday, November 8th at NLO Recital Hall at Kean University, one at 2 p.m. and the other at 7:30 p.m. I'm pleased to have the two people most responsible for this wonderful event. Join me now, Mike Griot. Great to see you, Mike.
Great to be here. Thanks, Doug.
Absolutely. And WBGO's blues reporter Dave Popkin. Thanks for doing this, Dave.
Appreciate it, Doug. Always a pleasure.
We'll find out Dave's role in just a moment. Burt Bacharach's work has created a legitimate American songbook that includes some of the most beloved songs of the last 50 years. Songs like I Say a Little Prayer, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, Walk On By, What the World Needs Now is Love, and that's what friends are for. Mike, we lost Burt Bacharach back in 2023 at the age of 94. When you think of the legendary composer, what first comes to your mind?
Um, Actually, it reminds me of a time in my life where I was a kid playing cello and desperately wanted to be in a band or in some sort of pop music because I was just drunk on the way the radio at that time programmed everything, despite genre. And I heard his compositions, and it really spoke to me. It expanded my appreciation of music immediately.
Now, this is really your baby when you think about everything that you've put together here. You've put together the musicians, you'll be playing bass, you came up with the whole idea. Why did you decide this is the time for a tribute to Burt Bacharach?
Well, I have to give a shout out to Kane president Lamont Repollet because I actually do the annual jazz festival there. And this year, we're going to take a year off from the festival. And in its stead, he basically said, do something else that the people will like and make it an indoor event as opposed to an outdoor event. So this, for some reason, this like a lightning bolt, it was right away. It was like they would love a Bacharach tribute.
Yeah, who wouldn't love that for sure? I mean, so much to choose from.
Yeah.
Burt Bacharach composed hundreds of pop songs, and many in collaboration with lyricist Hal David. His music features atypical chord progressions and time signature changes. Mike, when you're putting together the songs and you're playing bass for these songs, what have you noticed about Burt Bacharach's music that either maybe you didn't think about or you appreciate more?
I think uh, at least the musicians tell me that uh, just when you think the groove is typical, for example, we could be in a bossa and you think the bossa is going to go on for, 16 bars or more. And then Bert will essentially turn it around and do a modulation. And he doesn't telegraph those moves musically. It just kind of happens. And, if you're a musician, you can sort of tell that there was an independence from the lyric then because the way he plays changes, which is very sophisticated. It could not, it likely was not because he was marrying anything to a lyric. He was just playing what he felt. And then how David came behind him or others and really kind of interpreted his basic modality. And that's just beautiful.
He showed a keen interest in jazz as a teenager, disliking his classical piano lessons and often using a fake ID to gain admission into the 52nd Street nightclubs. Dave Popkin is the librettist and narrator of the Soul Burt Bacharach. While doing your research, Dave, what surprised you the most about this composer?
I guess just the volume of hits, 73 hits over 70 years. And I knew the later stuff maybe more than Mike did, and he knew the earlier stuff because he's a few years older. So I was happy to delve into, some of the songs from the 50s and the 60s that Bacharach wrote with Hal David and others before that. I mean, he had hits way back, into the Brill Building and an illustrious songwriting history, and really just the depth. I mean, I knew the name and how famous he was and how many great songs, but it's staggering the legacy there and how many compositions he had.
Dave, can you take us kind of through the flow of the show and how it will go?
Sure, absolutely. I'll be the onstage narrator. Come on, set the stage for Bacharach as a child and growing into a songwriter, and then Mike and the band take it away. We have 15 pieces, including four singers, and you can't go wrong with these songs. The Walk On By and Close to You and What the World Needs Now, and all these great Alfie, all these great songs, and then I weave the story of his life, his musical life and his personal life throughout the songs, throughout the hour and a half that we will be there. And, I think bring a little emotion, to the story beyond just, what is in the songs, because honestly, he didn't write the lyrics, so a lot of these stories in the songs were not his per se. The music was. But a lot of them do reflect what was going on in his life, the love lost, the love found, and the love at a distance and all the different subjects.
Mike, he had four wives, I believe, during the course of his long life, but the marriage to Carol Bayer Sayer was one that really produced a lot of hits. Do you find when you're the basis for the award-winning band, the Blues People, when you're putting songs together, inspiration comes differently to every artist. What what do you think were the inspirations for Bacharach when you're listening to this music?
Wow. Uh, uh, First of all, trying to get into Bacharach's head at the time is is a massive ask. But I mean, I speculate that he, like most of us, he's reaching for a feeling, and to Dave's point, depending on what was going on at the time in his life, I'm sure his feelings of love and loss, his feelings of isolation, possibly his feelings of acceptance, the way that he, for example, the way that he really admired the depths of jazz composition and kind of wanted to be in the club, quote unquote. Um, all, all of those things probably informed the way he approached uh, the music harmonically. And I guess, to put myself in a certain reflective position, if I were like honored enough to write lyrics for a Bacharach musical composition, I mean, like wow, there's so many places you could immediately go.
The soul of Burt Bacharach, it really is a double entendre as you look at it, right, Mike? So tell us about the soul.
So yes, very deliberate, very intentional on my part, and uh, the I guess the primary way that the soul will be demonstrated that evening will be I took all of his great arrangements, all the records basically, and I split them somewhat between his original treatments, his original recordings with the original artist, and then his music being covered by other great artists. For example, we'll do uh, Dion's version of Walk On By, but we'll do Isaac Hayes's version of Look of Love. And so that sort of juxtaposition travels throughout the evening. And it's really fun because, among other things, I've hired the type of orchestra and rhythm section in particular where we all have been hired for all of these musics and we all love the gear shifting. It's just so much fun.
Do you want to give us a quick rundown of some of the artists that will be joining you on stage?
Oh yeah, yeah. So up front, in terms of the singing bullpen, I have the great Vivian Sessoms out front for one of the female singers, and then I have a New York legend, Mike Davis, also singing as well. I've got Carl Burnett on guitar. I've got Damon Duwhite on drums. I've got Manu Koch on the second keyboard, and the great Dave Malisco, who is also co-arranging, did the transcriptions with me and is playing principal piano. Other than that, uh, horns, strings, and the great Ed Shea, who's a legend on percussion, played with Mathis and actually Bacharach. and he'll be on stage with us as well. So it's a big deal.
I want to imagine they all jumped at the idea.
Oh yeah, yeah. My friend Damon Dewhite, we have a joke. I told him about the opportunity, and I told him what time to be there and the date. And he texted me back saying, "Hey man, I'm already there." So that's how that's how excited he was about just making sure that he didn't miss this one, and I'm so grateful.
Dave, when we talk about the work and the research that you did, and on stage you'll be giving the background of the history. When more than 1,000 artists cover your work, I guess you got it right.
I think so. And I love the research. You know that for my blues interviews on BGO or my sportscasting games that I do, I dive in head first. And I did that with this as well, you know, reading Bacharach's biography, Anyone Who Had a Heart, which is a great book. And there's a song by song book that goes very deep into each of the songs that he wrote in his career, which is like almost impossible to do because there are so many. And there are a lot of interviews out there and concerts and things like that. So it was great. And as Mike was saying, I like some of the alternate versions, you know, some of the Aretha stuff, Cilla Black, the Luther version of House is Not a Home. Um, On My Own is one that we're going to do that Dion cut. And I had never heard that version because I just knew the number one hit version with Michael McDonald and Patti LaBelle. So it goes deep. I mean, you were talking about jazz before. Bacharach must have been thrilled when Wes Montgomery and Grant Green and Cal Tjader and Bill Evans and all these people, you know, covered his work because it was sophisticated musically and because it you could go a lot of places with it.
Dave casually mentioned sportscaster. Those of you who follow Seton Hall basketball know that Dave is the color commentator and sometimes the voice of the Seton Hall Pirates. He and Gary Cohen have been an award-winning team there covering the Seton Hall Pirates for more than 20 years. And Dave, in 2024, was voted New Jersey Sportscaster of the Year. So it's not just a casual, I am doing a little sportscast, but I hope you're enjoying his blues interviews. You and Mike got together and and did a Blues People interview. This relationship that you have with Mike continues to grow.
It's been great. I guess you could say Coco Montoya brought us together. It sounds like a Bacharach song. Um, I was covering Coco for the station for BGO and went to one of their shows, and Mike's band Blues People was opening. And I met him briefly after that, and then started to go to their gigs and wanted to interview them for BGO because I really feel like they're the best or one of the best blues bands in the New York, New Jersey area. So we had them on, and that went well, and we stayed in touch. And then out of the blue this summer, Mike called me and said, "Hey, you know, would you like to get involved in this and write this show and be on stage with us?" And I immediately said yes. And I'd never done anything like this before, so I'm looking forward to it. And anytime I can stay involved in music, it's my love.
Out of the blues, you could say.
That
So,
too.
I see what you did there.
so, so Mike, when you work on a project like this that takes considerable amount of time and collaboration, could this produce a new song for blues people?
Inspiration hides in plain sight, right? So who knows what this will influence me to do? But I do know that Bacharach as an artist, uh, just soaking myself in this project has probably allowed me to see the future of many things musically more clearly. And no doubt about it that when we do the next studio record for Blues People, which will probably be in the spring of next year, I'll probably be a little different, and I can attribute that to this project.
And as we wrap this up, Mike, so let's say suddenly you are put into a small room and they said, Mike, you can only hear one more song, and it's a Burt Bacharach composed song, but you only get to hear one, and then we're turning the lights out, and you're just going to have to meditate the rest of your life. What would be the last Burt Bacharach song that you'd want to hear?
This is easy, and it's actually a song that most people have never heard of and are not familiar with. It's called God Give Me Strength, and it was a composition with he and Elvis Costello. And it's just Elvis singing in his typical Elvis Costello style, and some great orchestration around it. And Vivian Sessoms was actually the one that turned me on to it. I all these years had no idea, and then she brought this and said, "If I will not do this gig unless you let me sing this song." And I heard it, and I play it every morning. That's how much I love it now. When I wake up in the morning, and Lord knows we need strength.
Well, no wonder you're friends with Dave Popkin. Elvis Costello is one of his favorites. We just saw him just recently in a concert, Dave.
We did, and he's still going strong. And he loved Burt so much. That Painted from Memory album was a terrific collaboration between them. They've done live shows together, and you talk about two of the great songwriters of the 20th and now for Elvis, 21st century, kind of two peas in a pod. And I know it was challenging for Elvis to do that project. I've heard him talk about it before. They were doing it at a time where they were in different places. They were faxing each other ideas. They were leaving each other voicemails, singing melodies and harmonies on the voicemails, almost like COVID, where people, just couldn't get together. But for them, it was just a geographic issue. Elvis would be in Vancouver or London or different places where he is, and they somehow put together an epic album, and that might have been my choice as well, Mike. I really love that song. But when they hit the harmonica and that's what friends are for, I think I'm going to be a puddle.
Hopefully, everybody.
And if you're a part of that, everybody, and you want to see the show, you can go to keanstage.com for tickets. Once again, there are two performances on Saturday, November 8th, one at 2 in the afternoon, and then one at 7:30 in the evening. It's at Enloe Recital Hall at Kean University, where Mike has mentioned he has been a part of for many years, working with that. Also, his Sopax in the Loft series, and served many years as the curator for Blues in the Loft events, and received the 2014 Hands Community Leadership Award. And he is, as I had already mentioned, the bassist in the award-winning band Blues People. Dave Popkin, thanks for joining us today. Congratulations on this project.
Doug, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Mike, tremendous work there. Continued success to you. I do believe probably we'll see this production move on to other theaters as well. Congratulations and good luck with Blues People.
Thank you, Doug. Always a pleasure connecting with you guys.